Man, Monday morning is getting off to a fast start. We will check in on the weather and get an update on what's happening in the used equipment markets. Then fire up the grill. It's time to kick off Pork Week and everything pork.
Live from June via Farm Journal Studios, this is AgriTalk. This morning we begin with a conversation with Machinery Pete, Greg Peterson. Then it's Brett Kaysen from the National Pork Board. Directly following the news, Brett Waltz from BAM WX. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson. Now, the host of AgriTalk, Chip Flory.
All right, Davis. Hey, happy Monday morning, buddy.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
I hear that. I hear that. You know, This might also get you just a bit excited.
Oh, now be careful. Okay.
It's Pork Week.
I know.
Pork Week. It's here.
It's the most wonderful week of the year.
Yeah, it's like an excuse. Well, of course I had pork.
Yeah. Yes.
Of
course.
It is an excuse to just get crazy and try and sample and I'm telling you, I know that you're going to stay in KC there at the studio. Okay. I get that.
Sure.
But Big Apple Joe and I will be making our way to Des Moines for the World Pork Expo. We will be there. Joe, what days are we going to be broadcasting live? Wednesday and Thursday, is that right?
That's right, Chip.
Okay.
Sounds like he's got it all figured out.
Well, I think he does. I think he does. Jennifer Scheich,
yes.
The editor of Farm Journal's Pork, has put in extra work in making sure that we were going to bring to you the best possible coverage from Pork Week, and she will be participating in several of the conversations that we have from the booth down there at Pork Week, the Farm Journal Pork booth at Pork. Yeah, you get it, at the World Pork Expo. Yeah. We'll be there, Des Moines. Yeah. You should be there too. I wish you were.
Everybody, you should all be there. Jennifer Scheich, let me just shout out. She's been working her little tail off, lining things up and getting it all put together so that we can bring, the best coverage possible to y'all folks. That's right.
That's
great.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started in the news. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, let's do. I've got the National Weather Service outlook here. Strong to severe thunderstorms possible from much of the Mississippi Valley into the Ozark Plateau and southern plains today, while heavy to excessive rainfall may bring flooding to parts of the southern plains and Ozarks. Areas of heavy rain and strong winds are ongoing in the Pacific Northwest. Later this week, Chip, a heat wave will impact the southwestern United States and California's Central Valley. The Dow and S&P 500 each finished with gains on Friday, while the NASDAQ lost ground. But all three registered losses for the week, even as they put up strong gains for the month of May. On the month, the Dow rose 2.3%, the NASDAQ was up 6.9%, and the S&P 500 gained 4.8%. Doesn't look so stout this morning, Chip.
Well, no, it's backed off. There's no question about it. And we've got the Dow about 200 points lower right now. But those gains that we've got in the Dow, or those gains in the equity indexes, they backed well off the highs that were posted earlier in the month. So there's some running room to the to resistance at the all-time highs.
Yep. Well, a Barron's article says the Federal Reserve is not likely to lower interest rates in 2024 thanks to persistent inflation, a strong economy, and a resilient labor market. Despite earlier expectations for rate cuts, these conditions suggest the current federal funds rate target of 5.25% to 5.5% will remain unchanged. Chip, copper prices have reached an all-time high, driven by expectations of strong AI demand and China's economic recovery, this despite high production by Chinese refineries and weaker than expected demand from China, the world's largest copper consumer. Prices are expected to remain elevated as traders and investors anticipate increased demand from data centers, renewable energy projects, and AI development.
Yeah, it's an energy-hungry event, I guess we would call it. AI, artificial intelligence, uses up a lot of power out there. There's no question.
Well, Congress returns from its Memorial Day recess with both the House and Senate voting tonight. President Biden will visit France this week for the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion and a state visit to Paris. Many lawmakers will also travel to Normandy, leading to a short legislative week with both chambers adjourning by Wednesday. Senate Democrats worry the closer they get to the election, the less willing Republicans will be to reach a deal on such major legislation as the 5-year reauthorization of ag and nutrition programs. House Republicans still may push for a floor vote on the Farm Bill before the election to force tough political votes for some rural Democrats in competitive races. You know, Chip, you hate to see something as important as the Farm Bill reduced down to tough political votes for some rural Democrats in competitive races. You know what I mean?
No, this is, Senate Democrats worry the closer they get to the election, the less willing Republicans will be.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
The Republicans in the House have been leading the way on this. I don't know any other way to describe that, while Democrats in the Senate have been dragging their feet on this.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe that. So that's just, yeah.
Well, European natural gas futures surged over 10% to above 38 euros per megawatt hour due to an unplanned outage at a Norway processing plant. And OPEC Plus decided to extend its oil production cuts, a move aimed at bolstering a fragile market. Chip.
All right. Thank you very much, Davis. Let's bring in Brett Waltz, BAMWX.com. Good morning, Brett.
Hey, good morning, Chip.
Okay, today, severe weather risks are very much alive in the Central Plains, correct?
Once again, it seems like it's about every day or every other day at the very least, but down across parts of Oklahoma and Texas again, that's the biggest risk area that I see, probably the highest chance for tornadoes and some heavy rain. They've just been slammed with heavy rain over the past couple of weeks. And then a secondary area across parts of eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a couple of isolated tornadoes. I will say, though, in terms of the intensity of today's risk, it's not quite as bad as what we've seen at times over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, but with how easily the tornadoes have spun up this year, we want to be aware that the risk is out there and is very much alive, right?
No doubt. No doubt about it.
Okay, talk to me about the Corn Belt, Western Belt, Eastern Belt. What does it look like?
Yeah, Iowa, Illinois this week, the further east that you go, I think that it's going to be a little bit more active. You still have those chances in there, especially the next couple of days. The further west you go, it's a little bit more sporadic. Parts of western Minnesota, the Dakotas, Nebraska, there are rain chances, but it's not completely soaked. It's not 1-2 inches plus of rain. There will be some dry spots in there, and maybe parts of eastern Indiana, Ohio as well. So kind of a tale of two different regions there.
And then it dries out a bit, doesn't it, Brett?
It does. I will tell you that in terms of maybe getting a 5-day stretch of dry time, it's probably the best chance that I've seen for a widespread area across the Corn Belt, probably since winter, to be completely honest. It's been so active. I think late this week and into early next week, pretty good opportunity for dry time.
Yeah, it'll be nice not to see those risk areas outlined on the map for a little while, and hopefully we've got a period of that coming up. Good stuff, Brett. Thanks, buddy.
Yep, thanks so much, Chip.
You bet. Brett Waltz, BAMWX.com. Up next, Greg Peterson, Machinery Pete, right here on AgriTalk.
Machinery Pete here, folks. This segment of AgriTalk brought to you by our friends at Dakota Ag Innovations, makers of Dakota Shine, the best way I've seen to fix faded paint. Go to dakotashine.com or call 888-996-7801.
Chip! Welcome back to AgriTalk, everybody. We've got something to talk about. It's a big day. I didn't even realize why. I woke up and I was very excited and enthusiastic about the day, not really understanding why.
Yeah.
We start a brand new comp book today. On Friday, I finished one of my books of notes. It goes all the way back to January 12th.
Oh, that was a big book.
It was a big book, yeah. We'll revisit some highlights in the fourth segment. I'm going to start a whole new book today. Woo!
I can't wait. Good stuff. All right. All right, let's bring in Greg Peterson, Machinery Pete. Hey, Greg, how's it going, man?
Hey, good guys. How you doing?
Doing real fine, real fine. Let's waste no time. Jump right into it. What you got on the pick of the week?
Pick of the week, a little different angle this week. Quite often we're talking about crazy low-hour tractors, combines, skid steers, sprayers,
Yep.
highlighting those items, which are super interesting. But this week, let's go the other direction, a little higher hours. So last
Okay.
Thursday in New Salem, North Dakota, it was a little farm estate auction by Piper Auctioneers. Older equipment on the sale, not a huge sale. But a couple items caught my eye. One was a tractor, a 1990 Case IH 7140 mechanical front wheel drive. Looked nice. Had 12,172 hours on it. And it did have newer tires, which obviously is a huge factor these days, but it brought 39,500 bucks, which when you monkey around with the filters in our auction price section at machinerypete.com and filter by hour ranges, 39.5 is the highest auction price I've seen on a 7140 with over 10,000 hours. Now, I know a lot of times when tractors have a zillion billion hours on them and they sell at auction, they don't know exactly, obviously. So at least of the mass of 7140s that were reported with over 10,000 hours, 39.5 is the highest I've seen. The previous high was 34,000 back 4 years ago in a Brownton, Wisconsin sale. We saw a 91 model just over 10K go for like 34. So almost 40K last Thursday. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing about it, Greg, when you've got a tractor with over 12,000 hours on it, it's not guaranteed, but more than likely every time the guy turned the key on that tractor, it started.
Well, yeah, 1980s, 1990s, 1970s tractors. We talk about them a lot. And when we see the super low hour nice ones, obviously, I mean, for extreme example, but that 92 model 44 or 4055 with 22 hours out of Wisconsin back in the end of April for 275.
Yeah.
But again, I've always just enjoyed, not just the low hour stuff, but whatever, 15,000 hours, put it up for sale. What did it bring? And these things get the job done. Like you say, you turn the key, they go. And if they have an issue, it's not a humongous repair bill. Usually you just kind of do your thing. And anyway, 39.5. There was another item on the sale Thursday, kind of caught my eye. Livestock sector, of course, has been pretty strong. Livestock equipment related. They had a 2012 Travelong 24-foot aluminum livestock trailer. Looked pretty sharp. That brought 16.5. And I believe that is I think that was the fourth highest or the third highest auction price on a 12 model Travelong 24-foot aluminum trailer of the past 5.5 years. So just a good solid price there, 16.5.
Yeah. Yeah. And boy, that livestock equipment, whether it be baling equipment or the loader tractors, here, the livestock trailer, it seems to be in high demand at least at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's definitely where the heat is with the auction prices. The remaining heat, lingering heat, I guess you'd say, from the high horse stuff has cooled off as we would expect with the pressure corn and beans we've seen here in 24. But loader tractors, hay equipment been very strong. So yeah, it kind of is what it is. Yeah. I think the supply side on the loader tractors specifically, we're not seeing quite the run up that we see on the higher horse tractors on the dealer lot, which keeps the pressure more applied when a good one shows up at auction.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Have you mentioning the inventory at the dealers out there, have you noticed any movement that we need to be aware of in that inventory of tractors or combines?
Well, I think just generally, we've seen first half of 24 here, just a continual increase. I wouldn't say it's not like anything I've not seen before. I mean, it's just, I think the piece that gets lost is that, frankly, we're just coming off of historic lows that no one had ever seen before. So yes, the inventory is higher. high horse tractors and combines, and the market, the dealers are dealing with it. So we're seeing, items flow out to auction.
Yeah.
So they, try to keep stuff
Well,
moving for sure.
yeah, and the inventory of new has got to be something that is in question right now. Just with the announcement that we got from Deere late last week about some layoffs that are going to be happening out there. It's
It just goes back to that word I'm described. My
Yep.
word of 2024 is recalibrating.
Yep.
So it's in some sectors we're recalibrating a little harder than maybe the mid horse
That's right.
tractors. But I guess nothing new. We've obviously been seeing these ups and downs, and it's agriculture. Holy cow! Last year it didn't rain here. Now in Minnesota, it won't stop raining. So it just is what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, we better get to what you got coming up. What's on your radar?
Busy week. Now today, folks, go to the steffisgroup.com, the online dealer auction, like we were talking, some dealers trying to move some inventory. Our friends at Midwest Machinery here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, offering some very, very high quality equipment today. It sells at noon central on steffisgroup.com. A couple highlights. They got a 23 model 612R sprayer. I've only seen maybe 5 or 6 of those hit the market. So this one only has 157 hours on it. Tractors, pair of 21 model 9620 RXs, just under 800 hours. The other one over 1500. 21 model 9570 RX, 863 hours. A 20 model 8R 370, 700 plus hours. A 22 model 8R 410, 230 hours. Little lower horse, a 7R 250. 22 model, 347 hours. So it'll be very interesting.
Wow.
To see, what these tractors go for today.
Yeah. That's going to be a good test right there with that number of tractors and that number of low-hour units out there. That will be interesting.
That will be, and we'll follow it up tomorrow. Our friends at Merit Auctions having their consignment auction online sale at their new facility, Fort Madison, Iowa. Check it out, folks. Go to meritauctions.com. Maybe saw the preview video we posted Sunday on this one. Of my friend Jim Huff with Merit Auctions gave us a little preview. But again, some very nice equipment. A 21 model John Deere 8RX 410, 715 hours. A 22 model 8R 310, 718 hours. 22 model 8R 370, just over 1,400 hours. 4 John Deere 6120Es. A couple others that caught my eye. How about this? A pair of 24 model John Deere 5075Es with 3 and 9 hours. So brand new there.
Brand new, yeah.
If you're looking for skid steers, they got 9 selling tomorrow, including a 22 Bobcat T66, 374 hours. And as Jim pointed out in the video, a very sharp Heston 1389 mower conditioner. So good sale tomorrow there. Check it out at meritauctions.com.
Okay. All right. And then there's another online dealer auction on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll stick around the upper Midwest here, just about an hour from me in Faribault, Minnesota. My friends at Matachek implement online dealer auction on auction time on Wednesday, selling 6 Case IH tractors for you red tractor lovers out there. Some really good loader tractors here. A 23 model Case IH Farmall 120C, 1,103 hours. A 22 model 120C with a loader with lower hours, 837 hours. 21 model Farmall 55C with a loader, only 9 hours on that thing, 3 years old. A 21 model 75C with a loader, only 190 hours. And then a pair of Maxims right in that sweet spot. Now, these do not sell with loader, but very nice tractors. They got a 22 model Maxim 150, 678 hours, and a 19 model Maxim 145 with just under 2,000 hours. So check out matachek.com and then just click on their auction tab, folks. You can check out that. Again, it's on auction time on Wednesday.
Okay, auction time on Wednesday. Man, it's a busy week. You're going to have lots to choose from for next week, aren't you?
Lots of choices. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. Stay tuned.
Yep, no doubt. All right, thanks, Greg. That is Greg Peterson, Machinery Pete. Now it's time to kick off our Pork Week coverage here on AgriTalk. We are going to be talking about producer engagement at the national level with Brett Kaysen from the National Pork Board. That is next here on AgriTalk.
Time for Markets Now with the experts from Pro Farmer.
Joining us now, Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady. Beach, this is a defensive start to the week here, pal.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the wheat market tried overnight, traded to the upside and early this morning, but boy, the selling pressure, especially in the soy complex, has really provided spillover pressure, and you know, corn markets involved, and so you know, we got double-digit losses in the soybeans, the soy oil. Because of hefty losses in crude oil, they're under heavy pressure, more than 100 points lower here. The meal market is leaking to the downside, 5 to 6 cents lower in corn. And like I mentioned, the wheat market tried early to work to the upside, but now about 1 to 3 cents lower in most of those contracts.
Yeah, and with wheat moving to the downside, that just kind of opened some additional downside depth for that corn trade, didn't it?
Absolutely. And so, you know, breaking down technically, both in soybeans and corn at the moment, and just extending those pullbacks that we saw last week.
Okay. Take us over to the livestock trade. Negative numbers there, too.
Yeah, no better. Nothing better to comment on there, actually. And moderate losses in feeders here at mid-morning. So they've come off their lows a little bit, but definitely a weaker tone. Live cattle slightly to moderately lower in most of those contracts. Hog market, it continues to drift to the downside as well, so they just keep taking premium out of the hog futures, despite the fact that the cash index ended its 7-day slide on Friday and is up again today. But boy, just a negative tone across the markets here to kick off the week.
It certainly is. All right, Brian, thank you so much. Hey, get more from Pro Farmer. Give it a look at tryprofarmer.com. That is Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady on Markets Now.
Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. Our name says it all. AgriTalk. What more do you need to know?
You know, it's funny when the stars align like that, isn't it, Davis?
It really is. It almost feels like something big is about to happen.
It really does. We've got our first Pork Week segment of the week coming up, and Grease Hog is got the bump music for that segment. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's bring in Brett Kaysen, Senior VP of Producer and State Engagement for the National Pork Board. Brett, hey, welcome to AgriTalk. How are you?
I'm living the dream. Pork Week here Monday morning. So thanks for having me on, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
You bet. Glad that you are here. Talk to me about your role there at the National Pork Board. What does the VP of Producer and State Engagement do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I'd like to say I've got the best job in the world, and my daily duties are to connect with pig farmers all across this great country, as well as globally. And then our 42 state pork associations. So a lot of your listening audience would have a state pork association that they're connected to and get engaged with them and their staff as well. So it's all about relationships with pig farmers all the time, and truly blessed to have the opportunity to work on behalf of America's pig farmers.
Very cool. Very cool. So what is happening at the MPB to encourage this engagement? You've got the Consumer Connect program rolling there now, right?
Really excited about the Consumer Connect work. As your listeners probably know, 2023 was not a very great year for the American pig farmer from a profitability perspective, and then had the opportunity to listen to the markets just a moment ago and seeing how soft the futures are in the pork protein space. And this Consumer Connect work that the National Pork Board is leading is all about how do you talk to consumers by demographic, by generation, and create a greater level of prevalence and relevance for pork as a preferred protein. And so couldn't be more excited about the domestic market development work we're doing here at the National Pork Board.
What are you finding out as you talk with consumers about is the industry delivering the product that they expect? What is the longer term strategy for building demand?
We've got an opportunity for sure to connect with Gen Zs and millennials. And the example I like to give people, and for those of you that know baby boomers, my mother's a baby boomer. I always thank her. I helped her this Sunday on her farm and said, hey, thanks to the boomer consumer, they have been the best customer of pork over time. But talking about relevance with millennials and Gen Zs, we are not as relevant with those generations, and we need to be. And an example I'd give you is, the boomer consumer generation was comfortable in purchasing a 9 to 11 pound ham and working through that as a family. And the millennial Gen Zs, where they're at today is they're like, I want a quarter pound ham that's pre-sliced and ready to go. And I think that example of the variation of relevance among generations is what's getting us excited that we can digitally target and talk to people and visit with them about what their preference is in this wonderful protein called pork.
Yeah, Gen Z, a lot of the exposure that they get to pork is bacon, right? And it's bacon as a condiment, not so much as a standalone item.
Yeah, bacon's always a winner across the generations. If we could have 52 bacons, we would be in great shape for sure. But and to be quite frank, let's celebrate the positive. And the positive is processed pork across the generations is doing very well. Where we're seeing the decline is in the fresh pork category. And as the data comes in, as we start to analyze that, from now and as you move out to 2032, if we don't make pork more relevant to these younger generations, we'll see another decline of 1.7 pounds of fresh pork per capita consumption moving out here over the next decade. And that's something we look to reverse, and we will reverse with this new Consumer Connect strategy.
Gotcha. The new guidelines on pork preparation, did that move the needle in a positive way at all, or is that something that is still working into the system?
I would say it's still working into the system, but did definitely have an impact. And you're relating to the 145 please, right?
Yep.
And so when we talk about Consumer Connect, what we've been talking about here in a short time is, generational differences, ethnic differences, product, preference differences. But there's a lot of variables that go into this demand creation space. And one of those is, how do people prepare the product? And we have to teach them not only to give them a recipe, but the appliance that you use for that recipe, and then the cooking methodology. And 145 please was such a successful piece of the value proposition for our farmers, and we continue to drive that, but there's more work to do in that space for sure.
Okay. All right. So what is the plan to use the research that you've got there to build this demand? How does it all come together to keep the industry kind of, marching in time to build that demand out there?
Your question is perfectly timed. I just stepped out of our producer board of director meeting to be here with you on air, and a lot of the producers were asking that same question.
Yeah.
And here's what we do. We've broken this consuming public down to 7 different segments. And I've said for a long time, as a producer myself and as a staff member at the National Pork Board, how do you talk to 339 million Americans effectively and efficiently about pork? And what our demand team has taught me is you don't have to talk to 339. You talk to 7 segments. Of those 7 segments, we've identified 4 as the opportunity to grow both volume and value. And the thing that's exciting about this work is, and I bet you some of you have one in your hand or it's laying on a desk in front of you, this digital device we call our smartphones is how we talk to these folks. And the data's better on who to approach, and the tools are better, and that we can digitally target to talk about this wonderful thing, pork, and make it relevant to them in their heart, in their mind, and to their family.
Oh, cool. And the family aspect, there's more in that generations that you're trying to reach out to, their families are getting bigger all the time. And putting pork on the table for a family of 4 or 5 is a whole lot different than triggering the curiosity of one, and putting it on the table for the family is so important, isn't it?
So important. And then people are busy. And I would argue most of us in our personal and professional lives are as busy as we've ever been. And I remember as a kid growing up, as a son of boomer generation, we would fundamentally sit down at the table, have a conversation, and pork was center of plate. And that's different even in our family with a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. They're busy doing all these other things. Moms and dads are busy. They have jobs. And sometimes pork is better utilized as an ingredient, such as ground pork and a bell pepper. That looks very much different than the pork chop center of plate, methodology I grew up with at dinner. And they're looking at convenience. They're looking at bite-sized snacks on the go. Yeah. And we're learning from them, this younger generation, both single and family oriented, on what they need from us as an industry so that we can continue to grow volume and value, and also that the whole pork supply chain wins along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And if there's that, bacon has been a big winner on the fast food menus, obviously, over the years. And every now and then the McRib shows back up, and there's all kinds of buzz about that. But getting a pork product on a fast food restaurant menu, man, it just seems like that would be such a huge win for the industry.
Where you're going is, we've been talking a lot about consumers, but food service. Food service is key for the pork industry. And you've mentioned bacon several times, right?
Yep.
That augments other products. And I will tell you, I want it to be clear that we're playing in that business to business approach as well, is how do we continue to innovate pork products that it's relevant at the retail level and it's relevant at the food service level. And those partnerships look different, depending on the franchise or the business unit in which they run. But boy, we've had a lot of excitement over the last 90 days of the various food service folks that we've been meeting with. And innovation is in the pipeline, and you'll see more of that delivered here over the next 9 months.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. I'm heading to Des Moines. What should I expect to see down there? What should producers expect?
Well, you're coming to the Super Bowl. I'm a big football fan, and most people think the Super Bowl's in February. I said, no, you got it wrong. It's in June. And this year it's June 5th and 6th. It's called the World Pork Expo at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, brought to you by the National Pork Producers Council. And folks, it's just a wonderful event in terms of, World Pork Expo. There's going to be plenty of pork for you to consume and taste, and lots of networking opportunities, and just the ability for the producer community to get together and unite. It is the largest pork event in the world. It's my favorite week of the year. And come to the Iowa State Fairgrounds on June 5, 6. You will walk for a little while, and then you'll taste a tasty treat, and then you'll move on and you'll have a conversation with a producer, and it just makes for a wonderful experience. Plus, go to the Varied Industries building. All the latest and greatest technology from a farm level perspective will be there as well. And so, boy, again, it's my Super Bowl. It's the pork industry Super Bowl, and no better week than World Pork Expo week.
Yeah. And what an opportunity to network with producers from all over the country. It's just it's a really cool event. It's low pressure. It's a really, it's just a really cool event for all the networking that can take place. Brett, I'll see you down there, okay?
Look forward to seeing you. It's going to be fun.
All right. Brett Kaysen, Senior VP of Producer and State Engagement for the National Pork Board. We'll see him down in Des Moines. We will be at booth V785 on Wednesday and Thursday.
Introducing Grow Getters with Davis Michelson, a podcast that shines light on agriculture's most innovative side hustles. Find the latest episodes on Farm Journal's YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, that sounds like an exciting podcast that I would like to like and subscribe. Yeah, I might even click the notifications bell to make sure I don't miss a single episode of Grow Getters. Grow Getters, the most exciting, revolutionary podcast ever conceived. We're so very proud of it. Yeah, we'll be doing. That's right.
How can you can't afford not to listen?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. And I'm not exaggerating. We're going to do some taping this week. We got some new shows coming up. Super excited about it. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Welcome back to AgriTalk, everybody. Davis Michelson here with Chip Flory as well.
Yeah.
Some good conversations. Still, we got to talk a little weather. Still volatile, bro.
Oh,
Still volatile. I'm looking at the weather map. I mean,
there are some of those risk areas defined, aren't they?
Yes. If WRDN isn't getting wet, it's coming, gang. I'll say that. And Oklahoma's firing back up again. Arkansas is clear down into Mississippi. It's there's weather out there, folks.
Yeah, absolutely, and it has, it's already been a long, severe weather season. I don't
really
know how
has.
else to say it.
Yep.
It has been a very active. It's been going on for a while, and I'm telling you, when there is even a minimal risk, as there is today in most areas. Even when it's a minimal risk, pay attention and don't lose track of what's happening around you.
Yep. That's right. That's always good advice,
Well, that's right.
I mentioned this earlier in the show. Let me, new listeners, or perhaps if you haven't really put this together before, as there are conversations going on AgriTalk, for example, today's conversation with Brett Kaysen from the National Pork Board, I sit here and take notes. So then Chip and I can have, we can attempt an intelligent conversation at the end of the show, wrap it up, have some fun, yada, yada. Okay?
Yeah.
Now I haven't always used notebooks, but for the last few years, I've been using composition notebooks with the little splotches on the front of it. And I finished one on Friday. I filled up a book. Now that one reached back all the way to January 12th, 2024.
Okay.
And I thought, maybe, let's pick through. Let's find
What
some
happened?
nuggets. You want to?
Yeah.
Yes. On the 12th of January, we had Jeff Peterson. At that point, temperatures were falling hard. He was surprised at the corn yield Nebraska at 182. Corn was down, but calls it a win. Closed 6 cents off the low.
Yep. PM show. Right
that's
there.
The first page of my book right there. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. He was surprised by the one. Oh, it would have been just coming off the annual production summary.
Yes.
That's why he was talking about the Nebraska yield at 182 in the middle of January. Gotcha. Well, I think there's still some people that are wondering exactly how a 182 happened in Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's we find out every year just how resilient the management practice, how resilient the new genetics in corn are, what the crop protection and the traits provide, and what the management does on that corn crop. And it's wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a memory.
Here's a nugget from later that month from CVD. Don't let perfection kill excellence. I love that.
Yeah.
A deer in the headlights gets run over.
Right.
I like
talking about let's stay active on marketing. Yeah.
Ooh, here's one. January 31st. Now I'm not trying to be a gotcha guy here, Chip. In fact, I'm giving you a chance to roll this back. You ready for this?
Oh,
January
man.
31.
What are you
Chip
doing?
says this may be 1983 all over again. Crop's fine until the 4th of July, and then it all fell apart.
Well, let me check my email.
Okay.
And as I check my email, I see a message in there from one Mr. Sean Hackett at Hackett Financial Advisors, who is saying, maybe this is setting up to be another 1983.
Hey-oh! Just seriously, that's fresh in your inbox today?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hackett was on Market to Market over the weekend.
Okay.
And he was talking, as I understand, I
Yeah.
Sorry, Paul. I did not watch this weekend. I didn't see it. But he, as I understand, he was talking about the potential for the development of La Nina in the second half of the year to create 1983 type scenario. Now, 1983, the reason that I remember that so clearly and vividly is because it was my senior year. Okay? And we were getting ready for the steer show, the Oxford Live Wire's steer show, well, and beef show, down at the Wapsipinicon Park, and we were getting ready on July 3rd, and it was raining like crazy. I mean, rained like crazy. Thought we were going to have to cancel the steer show for the 4th of July. As I recall, we went ahead and went forward with that. Congratulations to Paul Foyce. He won that show. But it was the last rain that we got until September 8th. And it with the genetics that we had in the field, with the crop protection that we had in the field, with the management that we had in the field, it at that time it killed the crop. I mean, just smoked it. I don't know how that kind of a scenario would play out on a corn crop right now. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. I got one more.
Okay.
84 games to win the Central League. The Cubs to take it in 84 in 2024.
I'm staying with that.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. Very
There's
good.
still a great chance for them to win 84 games.
The notebook doesn't lie.
And there's still a great chance that 84 games will be enough to win the National League Central. So we'll see. We'll see.
Outstanding.
All right. Hey, good one, Davis.
That's fun,
way to break
right?
that out. I love that. Okay, thanks for listening this morning. Come back this afternoon. We're going to have a conversation with Matthew Elliott, SDSU Extension Agribusiness Specialist. And tomorrow morning, Jim Mintert here on AgriTalk.